All right. Call our regular meeting to order. A recording and or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. First call the roll, Steve. Here. Vladimir.
Here.
Charlie.
Here.
Jessica.
Here.
And also here, all board members are present. B2, the Pledge of Allegiance. Could I get a volunteer student to lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Hats and hoods off. Face the flag, run the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. B3, agenda approval. Would any board members like to provide comment on the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented, made by Vladimir, seconded by Shally. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. B4, closed session report. The board reviewed a suggested proposed settlement in special education and provided direction to staff. B5, superintendent's update.
All right, a few things for you tonight. I had the great pleasure last week to meet with Jean and Christy from Mentor Tutor Connection. We usually meet at least once or twice a year. It's a bit of a recap about the supports that they're providing for students. They've been working with close to 100 students this year, which is really terrific. Christy Flahaven, their new, don't remember her, I don't believe she's executive director. She took over Elizabeth Masiak's job, but she's been doing a lot of work about how they can improve their services for our students, which is fantastic. And we had a really great conversation. We did some brainstorming into next year and how do we really make sure that the work they're doing is having the impact that they're hoping it will have. And of course, we appreciate them as partners because it's just a longstanding partnership with a great community organization. So I'm happy to enjoy that time with them. Also wanted to let you know that we are finishing our elementary school site visits this week for facilities master planning. I think we have 2 more this week of our elementary schools. Next week, our junior highs will have their sessions, those opportunities to bring in staff, to bring in parents. And part of the work looking at the facilities master planning at our junior highs is also around what would the needs be for a 6-8 middle school model. So we're looking at kind of both of those versions of Block and Egan. So that work is moving right along and they will come on April 1st to our meeting to give you all a recap of their findings, so to speak, from their grand tour around the district. Also wanted to let you know that our CEQA environmental impact report was released officially today. Thank you to Mr. Wallachevich, who was out on Friday zip lining official notices to fences.
Zip time.
Zip time.
Zip
Not
time.
zip line. Oh, zip time. I can see you cruising right along. Zip time, thank you. The official notices, so that document's been released to the public. It will have a 45-day review session. There's a lot of comments and responses to comments and eventually mitigation. And the final plan is expected to come to you on June 24th, which would be a special meeting. June 24th, which is the earliest day. We're really pushing them to get that in before the end of June. And that will come to you on the 24th in a special meeting for you to certify the EIR and then name a project for the 10th site officially. So that is the timeline that we are working with. A reminder that this Thursday, Brian and Vladimir and I have our once a year board meeting with LAF. So usually the president and vice president comes, we answer their questions, able to talk about what's happening in the district. And so that's been a great, I want to say maybe this is the third or fourth year that we've been doing that new meeting structure once a week, and that's happening this Thursday evening. And lastly, wanted to talk about the principal changes. You all know, and I know we have folks in the audience today. It was announced last week, maybe late the week prior. We will have Kelly Rafferty moving to Loyola. We'll have Denise Khaled moving to Santa Rita. We will be hiring for Springer. I spent some time last week talking to the community at Santa Rita. I spent time today talking to the community at Springer. I know not everybody is happy with the movements. I've listened a lot about how we can improve our communication plan for such changes that happen in the future, and really how do we manage change better for our communities. And have really appreciated people coming out and sharing their feedback and being able to answer what questions I'm able to answer in the moment. So that is my update.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to E1 school presentation.
So, this one was a live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that from last
These
year.
are the mics or the mic.
Excellent. So it is my great honor to be able to introduce you to a group of our students. Our focus today is going to be on student-driven lunch clubs. So you're actually going to be able to hear from 3 of our different student groups on campus today. We have 10 kids here. They're all very excited to talk to you. And we're ranging from, let me see here, 1st grade all the way up through 5th grade. So we have a good mix. The main thing with all of the lunch clubs today is that they are, as I mentioned, student driven, which means although we have an adult mentor in the group helping guide and support the conversations, the whats are primarily coming from the kids in the house. So we're really excited. And my first group is going to be our green team. So I'm going to bring my green team. So you guys can stand right on over here. Right over here. There we go. And then you're gonna face the board. There we go. And your slides are over there if you need to look at them. Okay, so this is our green team, and I'll let them take it from here.
Hi, my name is Aram, and I am a member of Green Team. We are a club that meets at lunchtime once a week, and we talk about ways we can help the environment. Then we take our ideas and we make plans of how to implement them. For example, trees give us oxygen and help keep our air clean. One of our plans is to plant 2 new trees at Gardner Bullis. Last Tuesday, we walked the campus with Miss Grimmerhorn and Mr. Tom, our parent mentor, and looked at the location where the trees will go. We are going to plant 2 new oak trees. Thank you to Greentown Los Altos for the trees. Here's Marlo to tell you about another one of our ideas.
Hi, my name is Marlo, and I am also a member of the Green Team. During one of our meetings, we noticed that we have trash and recycling out at lunch, but we didn't see compost containers. We want to learn how to make our lunch waste more friendly for the environment. So we learned more different types of composting. We learned there used to be compost containers at lunch, so we are working to bring them back. We are also going to connect with one of the living classroom volunteers to learn more about compost drums we have on campus. We hope to learn about worm composting as well. We are also hoping to plan cleanup days where we pick up trash around our community.
We are excited to keep our community green and clean.
Thank you to our green team. I'm also excited to introduce you to our student newspaper, who's going to come on up right now. Out of your way. All right, and Jess, whenever you're ready.
So back in 4th grade, I had an idea for a spot where all the stories of the Gardner Bullis, all of the stories of Gardner Bullis could come together, meet the newspaper. Fast forward to today, we are highlighting articles for the school to cover. Thank you to Miss Brenny, our mentor and editor. I have written the rules for Foursquare because of, conflicts. We realized the king was winning every single time, and there were disagreements about the rules. By typing up the rules, as you can see, we have been able to reduce the conflicts on the playground, and I have also written articles about the things that matter to us, the Grizzlies.
At Gardner Bullis, we love pets. Unfortunately, we aren't able to bring them to class. So we thought it would be a good idea to show people the different pets that belong to our grizzly families. They can see how our pets are in case they are wondering about getting a pet for themselves. And it helps us learn more about each other. For example, my dog is very energetic and he loves sticks. People thinking about getting a dog should think about the kind of dog that matches them.
We also write about the staff from our school. We want our peers to learn about the people around us. Maybe they can find similarities and connect with more people. We want our Grizzlies to know each other.
We decided to do book recommendations because we wanted our peers to read a wider variety of books. This will also help our peers see the world through different people's perspectives and to help them grow their love of reading. We thought it was right to make comics about the character trait of the month. It was so that other peers could enjoy learning more about the character trait of the month. In fact, most kids think the comics are more fun than the theme of the month lessons.
So we want to give a big thank you to our newspaper crew, but we want to make sure that you all know that there is a QR code up there. So if you would like to see the newspaper, you are welcome to scan it and take a deeper look. So thank you to our newspaper. All right, and that takes me to our third and last student group of the evening. So I'm introducing you to our Gardner Gives Back Club. And here, I'll let you guys move over here and I'll handle it from here. And so they're going to share with you a little bit about what Gardner Gives Back is and some of the work that they've been doing.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm going to talk about the purpose of our club. The purpose of our club is to give back to our community and everyone in need. We make up fun projects to do so to support charities. Hi, my name is Taya. I am part of the Gardner Gives Back Club. I'm going to talk about some of our past projects. One of them is a coin drive where you can place spare change from around your house. If you bring more than $20, then you get to ring a big bell. The money we make from the coin drive goes towards Rise Against Hunger. That is an event where you can come in and pack meals for people in need all around the world. Last year, we met our goal of 15,000 meals in under 2 hours. We also support local charities. For example, we received a service award from Project Night Night, an organization where we collected books, blankets, and stuffing for children in homeless shelters. We also collected socks and food items for Hope's Corner on the 100th day of school. Hi, I'm Abby, and I'm going to talk about our current projects. We raise money to give to Animals or Environment. Children voted Animals or Environment and Animals Win. They also voted we should raise money for an organization that gives animals visits to children in need, or an organization that helps animals know homes or that need care. The Humane Society of Silicon Valley won. We're letting the kids vote so that their voice counts. Hi, my name is Sia, and I'll be talking about why we enjoy being a part of Gardner Gives Back. We enjoy being a part of Gardner Gives Back because we get to make a difference in the world. It is so much fun planning projects that can even make a little bit of a difference. We love being able to help our community in many different ways, and it gives us a lot of joy to be able to be a part of helping out the world. Even only a little help, we believe, can make a big difference.
I'd just like to say thank you to our students and their families for coming out tonight. We've been doing some really great work around our campus, and they've been really excited to share that work with you today. So thank you for having us, and thank you to our families.
Any follow-up questions? Okay.
They were great though.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Love it.
All right.
Somebody's purse is right under the front there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, moving on to our consent calendar. Would any board members like to provide comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, would anyone like to approve the consent calendar?
So
Second.
Motion to approve the consent calendar made by Vladimir, seconded by Shally. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Employee requests to address the board. Do you have anyone tonight? Nope. All right, moving on. To provide public comment on an agenda item, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment on an item begins. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. We will begin with community comments. This time is reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. Let me just count quickly how many people we have. 11, so it will be 2 minutes per speaker. And I will call the next speaker and then the following two as we go through this. So we'll start with Mary Ann Williams. Oh,
Sorry.
just under the wire.
Hi.
Hang on, sorry, give me 1 second.
Okay. I think somebody else is filling out their card.
Is it possible that, these speakers are going to say the same thing that way?
Sure. All right, so we're at 12 or 13, maybe 14. It will still be 2 minutes per speaker. As Vladimir says, brevity is always appreciated, especially if there's repetition. I will ask, in order so that we can sort of get through this and treat everybody civilly, please refrain from copying, booing, hissing, or etc. Nonverbal gestures of approval or agreement are fine. So we'll start with Mary Ann Williams, followed by Jocelyn Ludmere. I apologize. Ludwig. Followed by Herb Marshall. I apologize in advance for everybody's whose name that I butcher.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to make clear I care deeply about this district and both principals. Kelly Rafferty is my boss and Denise Khaled is the principal for my children. I've made a big effort with parents at both schools because I see the parents as Rita as the librarian and the parents as Springer as another parent to make them feel validated and also trying not to let this issue escalate. I don't want us to be divided as communities. I also want to point out that principals worldwide went through enormous stress during the pandemic. You can Google it. Both of these principals started in LASD during or shortly before the pandemic. And despite the intense time with constant changes, actually my inspiration for coming to work for the district, they did amazingly. They did so well and they become such a support for their parents, students, and staff during these times that tearing them away suddenly now for many of us was triggering. Most of us feel that our kids only started to have normal in the last year and a half. People who didn't have young kids at home during the pandemic probably can't fully understand what we as a cohort of parents went through. I think that might be why the district miscalculated and did a business as usual. Typically principals do move around. I also think it's possible that Kelly Rafferty and Denise Khaled are the right fit for Loyola and Santa Rita respectively. But the process in terms of how staff and parents came to know, the timing in terms of how difficult it was for parents who were rejoicing with this new normal was deeply disappointing. This is true for people, especially true for people who moved to Los Altos specifically for the schools like me, and also people who on the PTA were working like crazy to build community. And I believe leadership is allowed to make mistakes and the schools are resilient. They're wonderful communities. Santa Rita's International Week was a reminder to me that the school community is richer and deeper than the principal. But I did feel like parents and staff and students should be heard. Can I have like 2 more seconds to say my final thing about
One
the
last
principals?
sentence.
Okay, the principals, if the principals were telling me to fight for them, I would, but they absolutely are ready to move on. So I'm hoping for a smooth transition for them. I wanted to make that clear that the principals are ready to move on. If I know that as knowing them, that's like, I just want to make sure that is there.
Thank you. I'd like, before, please refrain from applause. You can indicate agreement. Jocelyn Ludwig, followed by Herb Marshall, followed by Jessica Mullen.
I'm the mother of a first grader at Santa Rita, and I'm also here to speak against the recent decision to reassign Principal Rafferty. I have 2 quick points briefly in support of the same comments as Ms. Williams. It's been 3 years is too short of a time frame for a leader of this seniority. I think maybe if we were in a steady state, that could make sense, but again, pandemic is too close. Ms. Rafferty said at the beginning of this school year at the back to school coffee, this is the first year of normal. Second point, I want to add to this discussion an emphasis on the negative impact I think this will have on our English learner community and the progress we've been making towards improving academic performance, specifically in this cohort. When I read the article in the Los Altos Town Crier recently that showed academic performance by race cohort, I was chagrined to see the results. It is not good enough that Los Altos beats the state average. Santa Rita has 80-ish English learners, nearly 10 of whom are my daughter's peers, and each and every one of them is smart and hardworking and has a family that supports them and is committed to their success. For those kids and for the educators who support them, we can do better. We have work to do, and in partnership with Principal Rafferty, we have momentum that will be disrupted by her departure. If she were not qualified, that would be one thing, but I believe she both is qualified and equally importantly, she is passionate about these results and committed to improvement. And a new leader, even another outstanding one, will disrupt and delay that progress as we once again settle, reestablish relationships and trust, and reorganize and plan. That delay is unacceptable in principle for an issue of this urgency and is particularly devastating for the specific children who will not benefit during that reset time. A mark of leadership is the humility to listen and learn, recognize, and remedy mistakes. I respectfully ask you to reverse this decision.
Herb Marshall, followed by Jessica Mullen, followed by Paula Contreras.
I have the easy job of getting to express frustration and outrage while you all have to sit here and listen to it without comment. My name is Herb Marshall. I'm a 10-year parent of the district. When I first started speaking to you, it was regarding the 10th site. This board wanted to move Egan, and I implored you to take us on that journey on how you got to that decision. I'm the incoming PTA president of Santa Rita. I'm navigating needing to work and maintain good relations with the district while also representing my community, my greater LASD community, including my friends at Springer. I'm again imploring you to take us on this journey, as in my lens, this decision is completely asinine. With the announcement of the Loyola principal retiring and reshuffling of principals impacting 3 schools instead of just 1, I've been trying to find the logic that in placing staff development over school communities, and the only thing I can come up with is a huge miscalculation of how community, stability, and continuity in the eyes of factors in the eyes of LASD parents. In order to educate, you must first build trust and allow students to feel safe and stable. That stability is increasingly more important because we are increasingly in a less stable world. At Santa Rita, we have the highest percentage of students of at-risk students, both socioeconomic and behavioral, and not by a little. The disparities between the LASD schools is palatable. It takes significantly more work and significantly longer to build trust and community. We're just starting to hit all cylinders with our new leadership at Santa Rita, and I say that because it's our principal's 3rd year. I was on the committee for selection of our new principal 3 years ago, the process completely lacking this round. I can't understand the wisdom to disrupt something that's clearly working in the perspective of the people you serve. This move has eroded trust with your parent groups at a third of your community when you need our support, not just to pass bond measures, but for any organization to be effective and successful, it needs to be aligned with its end users. Our LASD communities are struggling, and I ask you to give a timeout and give us a few more years to get back on track. And secondly, you ensure this never happens again. It was a terrible rollout, and I'm being generous. This meeting is okay, thank you.
Thank you, Herb. Jessica Mullen, followed by Paula Contreras, followed by Perna Dillon.
Hi, I'm here speaking tonight as a family of multiple generations at Santa Rita School. My husband attended 35 years ago. My children attend. My mother-in-law has volunteered extensively at the school, as myself. I share this with you because I started out at Los Altos School District specifically excited about your appointment in 2022. You shared that you had a passion for building strong school communities and engaging students. And unfortunately, Sandra, I have not seen this in practice. The decision to unilaterally disrupt two schools that just started to get into a good rhythm with amazing principals post-COVID in order to fill one vacancy is only one example of how you have shown a lack of leadership to parents, to administrators, and most importantly, to students. My students love our principals. My students love Santa Rita, and we are all passionate about keeping Santa Rita on track. When we connected at the English learning event, I experienced firsthand how you dismissed my concerns. You spoke down to myself and Paula, and you showed a lack of, you spoke down to me and you dug in when we gave specific examples with statistical numbers. I've also witnessed how school administration fear retaliation from you when they disagree. They work hard to be compliant in order to secure funding to benefit the children of our school district. These are not the qualities that I want in a leader who makes decisions regarding my children's education. I cannot support bond measures or giving any more funding to the school district when I do not trust its leadership. Decisions that are being made in a unilateral vacuum without taking any consideration, communicating with parents, or engaging the community that you have shared that you are so passionate about building shows a complete disregard for everything that the school district stands for and what I voted for.
Thank you. Paula Contreras, followed by Karina Dillon, followed by Jan Platon.
So my biggest concern with this decision to change principals regards, as Jocelyn was saying, on the impact it will have on our most vulnerable group of students who are English learners, who are also socioeconomically disadvantaged. As you may know, nearly 25% of the students in Santa Rita fall within the category of English learners, many of whom also face socioeconomical challenges. These students and their families represent a unique, often marginalized and hard to reach segment of our community. Since last year, together with an amazing group of parents and under the guidance of Ms. Rafferty, we have started a working group to create formal and informal channels to make the school more accessible to English learners' families. We are developing a plan with new initiatives like Cafecito with the Principal, office hours in Spanish, a buddy system. Fostering strong relationships with English learner families and families in need requires time, dedication, and a deep commitment to building trust. I can't stress enough how long it takes and how crucial it is to build trust if we want to make any progress with this specific segment of our community. However, it appears that this essential aspect was overlooked because taking Ms. Rafferty away from this process that we have just started is frankly a disservice to the progress we have made. Santa Rita has by far the largest number of English learners and families in need within the district. The decision to change principals without considering these unique needs of the Santa Rita community is a mistake. Please reconsider this decision and allow us to continue to build upon the leadership of Ms. Rafferty. Thank you.
Thank you. Karina Dillon, followed by Jan Platon, followed by Cheryl Hope.
Hi, I'm Karina Dillon. I'm a parent from Springer, and I'm here today to voice my dissent on the recent decision to reassign principals and disrupt two school communities. The last time I was here was 2 years ago, when I heard from this board that hybrid learning is going well and that there is no learning loss. There was a huge parent opposition to that decision, as parents were witnessing firsthand how that was not true. Once again, a decision has been made that has upset the community. The communication from the board has been minimal and dismissive. Educating our children should be a partnership. This incident has once again left us feeling like we are at the receiving end of a decision that doesn't support us. We're being called on again to be Springer strong and put an unfair burden on us parents once again to help support yet another change. My feedback would be that you reconsider your decision and seek ways in which you can engage with parents so we can partner and not just react to decisions that are thrown our way. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan Platon, followed by Cheryl Hothu, followed by Lisa Sue.
Hello, board.
My name is Ion. This is my first time ever. I usually don't get involved. My wife is on the PTA at Santa Rita. She's the main person in our family that does all the volunteering and stuff. And so I had a text, but I'm not gonna follow it because I'm really disappointed. Sandra just said, some were unhappy about the decision. And being at the meeting last week at Santa Rita, I really I'm disappointed of the blatant disregard of the comments, because I didn't meet anyone who was happy, and saying that some were unhappy, it's really like a misrepresentation. So a bit of history of our family. We were with the district for 12 years now. My oldest is a junior in high school. My youngest is a third grader. And when the pandemic hit, we were so happy and thankful to the district that they opened up the school in person, that we felt, that we need to give back to the community. So that's when my wife got involved in the PTA. She started, volunteering a lot more. And, as many parents said, this decision is undoing a lot of that. Like we see in discussions how there's a feeling of, uncertainty and feeling not continuing this work. And I cannot tell you how many, times my wife was coming home crying at the beginning, the things weren't going well. But for the past year, it's been really, nice and everything was going well, maybe too well. That, the decision was to take a proven record principal and move it to another school. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Ho-Thew, followed by Lisa Sue, followed by Dahlia Marshall.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Ho-Thew, and I'm a parent Santa Rita of a second, fourth, and sixth grader. Well, I understand at the end of the day, the decision around principal choice is not our call to make. Leadership in the public sector is unique, as you know. Community and public are critically important stakeholders that need to be considered in all operations. Even if the decision is considered correct or right at the district level, it's wrong if the community is not brought along and felt to be engaged when important decisions are made. And those of us who have chosen to be at our neighborhood schools we've always had a choice here in the district, but those who have chosen to stay in the neighborhood schools have made a choice around the shared value of neighborhood and community as being vitally important. And so as such, a decision around the principal choice really deeply affects the community. And so when community engagement efforts haven't felt to be adequate, it's hard to not feel like the community was not taken into consideration. And for Santa Rita, where the principal is actually part of our community, in a time where we really are trying to increase our value around lived experience, such as, with the students presenting earlier today, it's hard to accept and feel that the community was being a partner. And so I would like to ask that the efforts to engage the community and our voice and partnership be made. Because again, it's hard to feel that we were included. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Sue, followed by Dahlia Marshall, followed by Amy Wu.
Hi, you've heard that this decision doesn't feel like it reflects the community feedback. And I want you to know that it's not too late yet. And I hope that you will reconsider and bring this back to the drawing board for community feedback. It is so important to us that you do not keep repeating history. I've heard that the last time we decided to close the school, we got a charter school. That's not the right lesson to learn. The last time this district made a decision affecting a large part of the community without giving that community any input or recourse, that community is this community that we've inherited today, and it became so fractured, it has yet to make a full recovery. Please don't repeat history over and over again with us. We're engaged. We want to help. We're not here to argue. We're not here to make your lives difficult. But you need to hear us, and you need to let us advocate for our communities so that we can be strong together.
Thank you. Dolly Marshall, followed by Amy Wu, followed by Shuyu.
Howdy. Good evening, Superintendent and Board. Thank you so much for your work. Let it be known I never want your job, otherwise I'd be crying all the time. I would like to express two things that should be made very clear. People vote with their money and the community is hurt. This is also a good thing. Now that the trust has been lost amongst a decent number of potential donors to LAEF, in addition to the voters who will be making decisions on any upcoming decision ballots. Unfortunately, I was not able to make that meeting where you were at Santa Rita, though it seems the decision was presented as an opportunity for the principals, which I frankly don't believe, though maybe some semantics were exchanged. All of my arm flailing aside, this next comment is where the cookie crumbles. Please listen, Sandra. I have not yet complained to our good friends at other schools about the poor decisions that leadership has made. I implore you to make a public apology and a transparent explanation of your decisions that were made. I will most likely get mouthy when we hang out with our friends on the community, as I'm perplexed by this decision. The old adage of it's a business decision is an outdated excuse and a total cop-out. That means the whole picture was not accounted for. You're human, your employees are human, your students are human, I am human. Therefore, we react to things that we feel are not aligned with our beliefs.
Amy Wu, followed by Shu, followed by Carrie Bona.
My name is Amy Wu, and I have children at Springer Elementary School. They are in first grade and third grade. This all feels reminiscent of last year's notice around Teacher Appreciation Week in May 2023. Our family was notified very coldly that the special day classes at Springer Elementary were being removed, and that our family would be relocated to Almond Elementary School, which was a school that is our home school, and that's the school we were initially enrolled in. But because our child was diagnosed with an IEP and services weren't available, we were transferred to Springer School. So we made the best of it. We made it our home. We made it our community. Denise is a part of that community. She's an excellent leader. Her presence is felt every day for the parents, for the children. Like May 2023, I felt like this email was rolled out and we were recipients. We were not a part of the conversation. It's very hurtful. Again, I do echo what other parents say about supporting the community in terms of the PTA, in terms of LAEF. In our chat groups, in our first grade chat groups, some in third grade, there's been discussion. Maybe we should consider private schools. Maybe we should consider charter schools where this turnover might not happen or we have more of a say. So like everyone else, I feel a deep loss. And we're not alone. The way things have rolled out has caused a lot of confusion, a lot of upset, a lot of speculation. And I know this is not the desire of the board or of yours, but it has been very divisive, very upsetting. Thank you.
Shu, followed by Carrie Bona, followed by Emma Chang.
Hello, my name is Shu Yu. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm not even a English speaker. So I chose to be here because I care, right? I'm a mom to Springer students. So for the benefit of our children's education, I'd like to raise a concern for Springer and request the board and superintendent to rethink about the decision of reshuffling principals. We'll have our fifth principals in 9 years. That gives average tenure of less than 2 years for Springer. I heard this morning the average tenure nationwide is 4 years. So we're far from that average, and students simply take the hit by the term. I really hope there's a goal and a plan to turn less on Springer. Stability is very important for student success. There are scientific studies, there are parents emphasizing it, complaining about it, advocating it. That is what we're concerned about and we care about. Families would take second thoughts if average tenure is less than 2 years. And our leadership is okay with that. So I also share the goal of making the strong district together, but there are many alternative ways to make it happen. So I really hope you can put the stability into consideration when making staffing change decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Bona, and then Emma Chang will be our final speaker.
Hello, I'm a parent of kids at Springer Elementary. I have a 6th grader and a 2nd grader. And I just want to raise some awareness about the principal instability at Springer before the pandemic started. When my daughter started in kindergarten at Springer, at the end of that year, we did a principal search. At the end of our 1st grade year, we did a principal search. Starting her 2nd grade year, Sandra McGonigal was filling in because we didn't have a principal. And in the middle of her 2nd grade year, we found Denise Khaled. But unfortunately, we were only together with her for 2 months before the pandemic shut everything down. And she, you know, it was hard to get a note. It was hard for her to create any community in our school when everybody was apart. So I feel that, you know, the Springer hearing the news that it is going to be the one doing another principal search hits hard, because we have kind of taken this burden on quite a bit. And I feel that the Springer community was fractured even before the pandemic hit because of our instability in leadership, and that the pandemic's innate instability, we have not had time to heal. So I don't really have a clear understanding why Loyola's principal retiring is causing this shuffle, and why Loyola isn't doing a principal search for their retiring principal. And I feel like that would be the best course of action. Thank you.
Thank you. Emma Chang.
Thank you for all the district members over here to consider about staff development. So if there's a company, for myself, I definitely want more work for this because you guys think about my development. But today I'm here to express my concern about frequent change of principals within our elementary school, especially for early stage of education. While it's important to keep adapting to the ever-changing requirement of education, we need to consider the impact of this may have this on the youngest students' education and development. Frequent shift in principle may result in confusion and misunderstanding, which can affect their education progress and the stability of this community. I would recommend you all reconsider the exercise and consider all the early young kids education stage in this decision making. So I also do some paper search online, and there are a couple of great papers online that you guys, if you're interested in, I definitely can share with you guys. So first one I look into is the high cost of principal turnover. So in 2014, School Leaders Network website, they established this leadership article. They turn out the results say high turnover can lead to a decline in teacher satisfaction and productivity, negatively affect school culture and lower students' achievement. And they also said that the frequent principal turnover is high correlated with students' success rates negatively. And also have some more papers read over here. So if anyone interested, definitely can search online. There are lots of things. And for myself, I also search, say, principal turnover rates, frequent principal turnover rates is highly recommended with students' successful rates positively. I literally cannot find anything. So thank you so much for any consideration.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. As I mentioned at the top, the board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, and this falls into that bucket. Do any of my colleagues want to offer a brief comment?
I have at least one comment. A lot of people were focusing on the fact that they did not think Sandra was considering kids in all this. And I really want to, I want to respond to that. in everything that our district does, especially Sandra, she is absolutely considering what is best for the kids. It is absolutely implicit in everything she does. So I just want people to understand that. But we have definitely learned from these comments and all the emails we've received. We've learned from every last message. We've read every single word of every email that we've received, and we hear how upset and how better this could have been done, for sure. That being said, as a board, the principal hiring and moving is literally not in our purview. It is not a decision we make. So, but we do know that we do get to talk to Sandra about things we could do better, and we definitely have ideas of what can be done better. So that's what I have to say.
There are two things that I'd like to comment on. One was there was the word retaliation was used. And that's, if it exists, it's totally unacceptable. So if it does occur, we as the board would like to hear about it, I'm sure. I certainly would. I don't believe it does exist, based on my knowledge of the administration. And I'd be very surprised actually if it did exist. The second thing is, I understand that you all, many of you are quite upset at the changes that occurred, and I can understand why. But what I don't want to hear is things that slide into personal attacks. I am willing to listen to people who say, this affects me, here's how it affects me, but I'm not willing to listen to somebody who says, that person did that to me. That's not what I think the administration believes and does. So that's the second thing. Last thing I wanted to make a comment on is there's a inbuilt tension between a school and the district. And we have 9 schools, so 9 different combinations of tension between what that particular school wants and what's good for the district. I don't think that we should try to sacrifice one school for the benefit of the district. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there is a tension that exists between schools and districts. And yeah, that's all I want to say.
No offense, but this is what.
All right,
No.
sorry, hang on. We have a chance to make brief comments and then I'll sum up. Thank you.
So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. You know, there's a million other places you could be at 7 o'clock on a Monday evening, and it shows how much you care that you chose to come here. Thank you for your emails. I echo pretty much what my board members have said. I want you to consider one thing, though. I keep hearing that we prioritize staff development without regard for student achievement or student impact. One thing I'm very proud about our district is that we do value the professional growth of our staff. And I think it's really, I think there are, without saying too much, I know that each principal brings unique skills. And perhaps that some of those skills might be a better match with some of our other schools. And so, Sandra, are the 2 principals in question, just want to make sure that they are in favor of moving to the other schools.
Do they have a choice?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
not
you know
about-
what? You know, this is not a back and forth. I just want to remind everyone, this is a public meeting of the board, okay? It's not a town hall where we can go back and forth. Anyway, I think that's it.
I'll just say, thank you all again for coming. I've been on that side of the podium before I was on this side, and I understand how stilted and frustrating this experience is from that side. So I encourage you to continue the conversation. Please reach out if you want to meet, and so we can have a two-way conversation. And I think that is where we're gonna have to leave it for tonight. So thank you again for coming. Move on to I1 curriculum instruction updates. Dr. Roscoe.
Yes, I'd like to invite Ray Sherman, Director of Community and Learning, up to provide a brief update from the curriculum instruction department.
Hi. I am looking forward to sharing with you an update and some celebrations about some of the programs and initiatives we have going on into the curriculum and instruction department this year. And it's kind of a hodgepodge of things, but I was thinking about the things that we haven't updated you on in the last little while and thought these are some things that I'm really proud of that are happening in the school district, and so it's important for you to be aware of those. One thing that I think you became aware of a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, is that we were working on getting our own teacher induction program, which is a program for our new teachers to earn their clear credentials. We're in our second year of operation with this program now. We are in the initial accreditation phase with the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. And as I said before, it's really exciting for a number of reasons. There are benefits for us to have the program in-house. Not only are we able to work with teachers on achieving their goals around the California standards for the teaching profession, but because we do it here in our school district, we're able to align their work with our priorities in LASD. So there are two functions to our program. One is, as I mentioned, to clear credentials. Once teachers finish our program, they can go and teach in any public school in California with their credential. The second purpose in our program is to build capacity. Teachers in the program attend regular induction cohort meetings, and then they work really closely with mentors. Every teacher in the program is assigned a mentor, and the mentors meet weekly with those teachers and are also in their classrooms observing and giving feedback. Their work is around setting goals that align with the California standards for the teaching profession. And then they dig into what we call an inquiry cycle, where they start with a question. The question is typically around their students. How might I improve this for my students by implementing this practice as measured by this instrument? And then they spend time working on the implementation of this. The benefit, of course, is both in the new practice that the teacher has learned, but also in the habit of mind to be thinking about and working through new and innovative ways of teaching children. And they're habits that will follow teachers through their career, whether they're here or elsewhere. So we're very excited about this work. So far, we have, in our last year's cohort, we had 15 teachers. This year we have 12. And I thought I would just share a couple in our improvement process. We have teachers complete a survey. 12 out of 12 of our teachers this year said that their mentor guides them through induction processes in ways that make the processes meaningful and relevant. And 12 of 12 also said that my mentor believes in me and pushes me to be better. And I'm thrilled that our mentors are modeling for our teachers the kind of care and push that they should be doing with kids. We've been doing quite a lot of work around transitional kindergarten. The program is growing and will continue to grow as the age kids are eligible for the program gets younger. Early learning is critical for kids to develop socially, to develop foundational skills and background knowledge necessary to be successful for the rest of their lives. Kids who participate in early learning are truly at an advantage. Districts across California right now are asking the questions about their TK program around what is developmentally appropriate. How is our TK program different from a preschool program and different from a kindergarten program? And the state has a number of initiatives that they're working on with leaders from across the state on, and our own Santa Clara County has been working on how they can help and support. Denise Khaled and I have been part of a cohort of leaders at the county office, the 8 leaders of early learning cohort. And through that cohort, we were able to last month take all of our TK teachers, that's us in the picture, we were able to take us all to the San Jose State University lab preschool, where we learned from expert early educators around developmentally appropriate practices and environments. And the team was very motivated by what they saw. They were both validated about the good things that we're doing and saw some really important next steps for us to continue to grow our tremendous program that we have in place for kids. My final update for you is around the work we've been doing to ensure that all of our students experience a modern and progressive education. Our LASD student experience is built around the science of learning and development. This year, our professional development, I think as I've updated you before, has been around positive developmental relationships and environments filled with safety and belonging. One thing I don't think I told you was that each of our teachers chose 2 focus students to do some targeted work around these areas this year. They did planning and implementation of practices to help build relationships and ensure that every student in our school feels like this is the place where they belong. And one of the benefits of doing this kind of work, even though it sounds like, well, they just picked 2 students, when we know that when we do something for 1 or 2 students, that the impact actually goes well beyond those 1 or 2 students. Next year, our work will be around rich learning experiences, the development of skills, mindsets, and habits. We've already started that work with our leadership team. Each week for several months now, we've been digging into what is a rich learning experience and what does this look like in classrooms. We'll be taking a team of administrators and teachers to the Deeper Learning Conference at the High Tech High Graduate School of Education later this month. We're really hopeful that we will come back with a set of innovative strategies and greater coherence in our system around what rich learning means. Ultimately, our goal for students is that we create for them a sense of hope in the work they're doing at school, that they feel engaged, have a sense of belonging, and that they're developing the skills of character and critical thinking and creativity. And am I going to be able to name them all? Not sure I will, but they're doing work that matters to them as they're developing these things. In our most recent survey, our student perception survey that's aligned with these outcomes, we ask kids questions in all 4 domains, and they give responses 1 through 5, 5 being the highest. I just wanted to share a couple of mean scores with you around the questions that were asked. So in elementary school, this teacher believes I can learn, mean score of 4.68 out of 5. I have a good friend in this class, 4.57 out of 5. This teacher cares about my future, 4.43. I feel safe in this class, 4.35. This teacher expects me to reflect on what I learned, 4.3. We've also seen significant lifts across all 4 domains in junior high, the strength of junior high being around belonging. The jump for junior high, we can kind of attribute perhaps to what happens for 7th graders at the beginning of the year, attuning to their new environment, teachers creating opportunities for trust building, and those numbers increasing as the year goes on. I'm so hopeful about the opportunities that we're providing for students, teachers, and administrators. Our CNI team is busy wrapping up the year, all of the things, and we're also looking to summer and the fall around all of the things that we need to do to give teachers and students and administrators the tools and resources they need to be successful there. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any board questions? Any requests for public comment?
On the scores that you were mentioning, what were the low ones?
I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can provide that in a update.
Yeah. I do
Or get updated,
remember what- Well, okay. Yeah, right. That would be interesting because that's where you have to look.
Sure, and our teachers have, all of our schools, our teachers have gone through a data review cycle to understand their scores and think about what they need to do to boost the scores in their classroom.
And we actually give a mirror-like survey to our teachers about how the district, so I feel supported by the district, or I feel safe within the district. And so it mirrors almost exactly the student survey. And I'll tell you, the one that stands out that is the lowest, that has been a lot of conversation, is the question, I look forward to coming to school every day.
The word every day.
The word every day has been a hot topic of conversation. Like, you really mean every single day? And the number is almost identical for teachers as it is for students.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's funny.
So
Alright,
speaking
every day.
about wanting to come to school, right after the pandemic, I was at, I think.
When was after the pandemic? That's my question.
After the official end of the pandemic or not, anyway, first day of school, I saw kids skipping to school. And for me, that is the mark of wanting to go to school. I never skipped to go to school. Good story. So keep track of how many kids skip to school.
Add that to
There was a
the
tally mark.
survey, walk, wheel, bike, or skip.
Thank you very much. I-2 10th site update.
So I'm gonna have, Mr. Walakevich chime in if I get something wrong, and we have to start by thanking the fabulous Sandra Bush, who put together a lot of mishmashed spreadsheets and pieces of information and hard copy things into one coherent, so we actually have a fully streamlined Google spreadsheet with every portable we now have in the district with this information. So Sandra took a lot of time and helped with this presentation, but quickly, we'll review just very briefly what we talked about last meeting, what's been accomplished, and what else you need from us. So last meeting was really an opportunity to share about the current impacts at both Block and Egan, with the sharing exclusive and sharing with BCS at those two campuses. You saw maps of exclusive use areas. You saw some of the constraints or the challenges of the sharing of spaces between the both schools. And then we talked about whether or not it's feasible to move to a middle school model while we're still sharing our campuses. And the short answer to that is it would be very difficult. And then there was a question around what is the state of facilities? Do we own portables? Do we rent portables? How much money have we spent? So thank you to Sandra Bush and Eric. We were able to compile that information for you. So if you look closely, this is exclusive use portables at Egan for Bullis Charter School. You can see there, we have a total of 49 portables that comprise their campus. The average age is 14, but you can see that we have a large number of pretty old portable buildings. You can see the total rental cost per year to the district is
over $650,000. They are all rentals of those 49 and get paid for from a variety of different funds. We do get reimbursed for 4 portables for rentals by BCS, and the district also purchased 4 classrooms for exclusive use for that dollar amount, and I don't know exactly when those were purchased. I don't recall that. So we have 53 portables, including the 4 that are permanent and owned by us that comprise the BCS campus. It's a lot of money. If we look at Block, which has not been there quite as long, so for the last 9 years, and I did not share this with you, but Eric and Sandra had put together kind of the Google Map images of 9 years ago when it used to be Stepping Stones, which I had totally forgotten that Stepping Stones was at Block in that space, and then how those portables have grown over the last few years. So again, those are all leases at a cost of over $250,000 a year to rent. And in addition to that, we were required in the construction of those or the landing of those portables to build, and you've all seen them there, the tall foundations at a cost of just over $8 million that we paid for with bond money. And that's required because of the floodplain over at Block. And I know somebody had asked a question. We do have our architect group working on what part of the campus will, if we do want to do future building at Block, what part of the campus would require that additional height. So we don't have answers to those questions yet, but we know that that's important information for us to know. So in summary, we are renting 71 portables. We own 4. BCS is paying us $58,000 a year, but you can see the total cost to us in both rentals and in one-time ownership. BCS does pay. I know this is kind of an aside, but I thought it was important, their share of facilities and grounds upkeep. They pay their own utilities right from the meter, and their own custodial to keep their facilities clean. So what else? We're happy to answer any questions. I'll probably let Eric answer the questions if he knows a little bit more about what other information would be helpful for you all. Or what questions might we want to dig in a little more with this information or any other information.
Any clarifying questions?
How much again do they pay a year for that facility, like whatever? I know it's not rent, but what are they paying a year?
The pro rata is their fair share.
Yeah.
It goes up 3% in the facility use agreement. Last year it was at 276,000.
Okay. For what was it? $58,000 worth.
And that's just fair share of, not really of portables, but it's using our fields, using our gyms, any wear and tear maintenance items that we're required to pay for. So that's their fair share just of maintaining their current layout, not really paying for the portables.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It's almost $1 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any requests for public comment? Any further? Anything further? With the last slide, what was the question you had on the last slide? Just
Any additional information that would be helpful.
I think the expected lifespan of those portables, I think 25-ish, 30-ish years, I think generally. What we're seeing.
I always say they're beyond their useful life. Most portables, if you can get 20 years out of them, that's pretty good.
So the oldest ones are definitely there already, and the others will be closing soon.
Correct. Yeah, they're getting pretty old.
In addition to the $8 million, I know I've learned through hard experience that just putting a portable down costs a lot, even without the 6-foot concrete foundations between utilities and everything else, so.
Yeah, and as a related, but an aside to this, we have portables at almost all of our schools. Well, I'm sure we have them at all of our schools, but at some of our schools, we've had portables now that have been empty for several years. And so, I've asked Eric, and he and his team have been looking into how might we, because most of those are also rentals and not owned. How might we spend a little bit of money up front to remove portables, so we don't have this ongoing rental cost just to have spaces sitting empty? Or, you know, one teacher is working out of a giant portable when they really could be in a small group room. So, I think we have a plan in place, and we'll bring that information to you, to work on 3 of our sites. Is that where we've landed? To remove portables, before the start of the school year, just as a cost saving measure.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
I3, LASD and DCS discussions.
On Friday at 11 a.m., Sandra, Shally, and I met on Zoom with Shrut, Kirti, Sai Fahimi, Andrea Eyring, and Maureen Israel being their superintendent, the others being board members, to continue discussions of facility solutions for the charter school. We started the conversation really asking them for an update of how their board meeting had gone. They also had a board meeting on 3/4, and their input was that, you know, their board really would like to stay on Egan and Block. They love the sharing. They think it's going well by them. They see no reason to go to the 10th site at all at that time of the conversation. Shally did dig deep and ask them, hey, you know, why wouldn't you prefer new facilities at the 10th site? And they said, well, you know, it's really not the facilities, it's the education, it's the program. We can have that program anywhere. So we're fine in our current facilities. We shared with them our interests, which we've shared with Sandra has shared with us, and we have generally agreed that we would like them to be at the 10th site, or a majority of us would like them at the 10th site, that we don't think the sharing is working anymore. From our side, it's less than ideal. And that also the fact that it's hampering our ability to go to the middle school model. And so we then kind of asked, like, the end of our conversation the last time we had met was, they had said, hey, maybe we will think about the 10th site, but we can't fit all of us there. So can we have an imprinted either, you know, Block or Egan? So I asked that we get back to that part of the conversation. And so they did start conversing with us, but time was running thinner. So we decided to actually have already scheduled our next meeting, which will be on 4/1 during the day, and it will be held at the 10th site. And we have directed Sandra to bring some schematics that we've all seen and all been part of our board packets prior, so they can see exactly, you know, where the buildings are slotted to be and where we expect the fields, et cetera, to be. Have I missed anything? Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, so they did have a request as it relates to was it EVOS they were asking for?
Yes, I believe that was.
They were asking for another classroom to be placed either at Egan or Block, so they could fulfill their ELOP
or to have use of an
Yeah.
existing.
Yes, correct. So they had asked that, and so I guess one of the things, the direction is whether we should at least have staff look at that, for them. In the spirit of collaboration, as it were.
And just to clarify, ELOP is the after-school program.
Yeah.
So it's not a room that would be used during the day.
That is our understanding. They talked about, yeah. ELOP is expanded learning opportunities program. Yes.
It's a very interesting request after the slides that Sandy just presented.
Yeah.
So.
And so we're happy that we have another, we didn't actually have, the last time we spoke, we didn't have another meeting in the books. So not only did we get another meeting with them, but we have another one already in the books, and this one is in person. The last two have been in Zoom, and I think it will actually, I like meeting with people in person. It is a more human experience.
These are difficult discussions. It's
Oh, yeah.
best to do them in person, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Any questions? Any requests for public comment? Yeah, it's a little odd that they would need the after-school classroom, given that, so, I mean, I don't know, my impression is not that we have empty classrooms sitting around in our junior high school, so I don't know why after-school use of one of our classrooms would be preferable than after-school use of one of their classrooms. I mean, I don't want to be intentionally unhelpful, but I don't understand the request, so.
Maybe we could have staff actually ask, really dive deep to understand
Yeah.
exactly what they need it for. Is it more than after school? Because ELOP to us is after school and before school. It's not the day.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe we really,
I can talk to Maureen about that.
and I think we were kind of at the tail end of that conversation, didn't think to ask that question.
Right.
And I apologize for that.
So you said you're meeting with them on April 1st?
April
Just
1st.
before our next meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll have an update then. Hot off the presses.
I look forward to it. Any further comment? Okay. Thank you. Moving on, I4, public hearing for developer fees. Mr. Walikevich.
Yes, in order to increase developer fees, the state allocation board every 2 years will raise fees. And the district has provided justification fee. But before we ask the board to approve the resolution, the board has to conduct a public hearing, which the board did that.
Okay. Any clarifying questions for the board before I gavel open the public hearing? All right,
No,
public hearing is now open. Any requests for public comment? So hearing no request for public comment, the public hearing is now closed.
That was rigorous.
Eric,
Yes.
one of the questions I have has to do with on page 4, the existing capacity. And I was curious as how that was,
For the study or the resolution?
studied,
Okay.
sorry. How that existing capacity was, calculated. And the reason I'm asking is because we have a standard in the district of small, medium, and large schools. I believe Covington's a large school, and that's 600 students, something like that.
It's not, at this time, the
500?
enrollment's not that.
No, I know. I'm saying this is what we consider a large school to be, and Covington is a large school, so ultimately, we would expect to we could put 600 students there. Anyway, the other schools also have, sort of, if they're small or if they're medium sized, they also have sort of like maximum capacity to be considered. And if I do the math, I come up with like 4,400 as our capacity based on on those numbers there. So I'm curious as how we reached the existing capacity number here?
And they, in the study on page, table 2, which is on page 4, they talk about that the TK through 8 is based on 34 students. And we're operating at that maximum of that, because you have to include the enrollment for, both charter schools as well. And then we're also able to operate, is using a lot of portables and leased classrooms. If you look at just our permanent sized buildings, we are actually do not have enough capacity. So the idea is that we're actually beyond our capacity of what we would be in permanent rooms. And so when we do developer fees, in fact, Sandra alluded to tonight, many of the developer fees, when we ask the board to increase our developer fees every year, is because we don't have enough permanent facilities to house our students. So we have to use Fund 25 is where these developer fee funds actually go to pay for the increased facilities. To answer your question the long way around is that yes, we're maxed out for facilities for students. We have
For
more.
permanent facilities?
Correct.
Okay.
And to meet our facility needs, we're paying for these portable classrooms with developer fees to meet our capacity.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to I5, resolution 23/24-13, the increase in developer fee.
Sure, and this is a item that the board has approved every 2 years. The state allocation board will adjust the maximum fees that can be levied on residential and commercial development. We have a MOU with Mountain View Los Altos District, and because the students are with us, we get a higher percentage of those fees because the students are actually with us longer from TK all the way through grade 8, and then they're with the high school just for 4 years. And part of the resolution tonight is to ask you to approving resolution 23/24-13 to increase developer fees for school facilities as authorized by Education Code Section 17623. It's an action item.
Any questions? Any requests for public comment? Any further discussion? I'll just note, as I think I note every time, that even with the increase, it doesn't pay for what it costs to build a permanent facility for students prorated that come from a single house. So I think we have no choice but to increase the maximum allowed and then try to make up the difference. All right, anyone like to make a motion to approve resolution 23/24-13?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further board discussion? Motion to approve resolution made by Vladimir, seconded by Shally. We have to do this on a roll call vote. Steve? Yes. Vladimir?
Yes.
Shally?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to J, board and administration comments.
Just a brief comment this evening from my HR hat. I'm pleased to announce that we have completed the process for our open position of Director of Fiscal Services. And we'll be welcoming a new member to our team who is from Saratoga Union for the last 21 years. Her name is Elizabeth Bays. We're thrilled to bring her.
Sure, we'll hear the stealing part.
Some people at home are not as thrilled.
Eric?
I'm not, thank you.
Steve?
The other thing I'd bring up is at the end of this week, we're actually, Sandra and I are meeting with Jack. to Talk about the progress there in this transition.
Some legislative action committee meetings. Stuff like that. Nothing earth shattering.
Shally?
Oh, no, other than the BCS meeting that Jessica already mentioned.
Jessica?
I actually had a meeting today with Edie Chavez, and it was actually, she was trying to focus on ways that the county the county, like supervisor of county, can help more with the social services as it relates to education and how we can be partners, whether it's the county office of education or local districts. So it was a preliminary meeting where we were learning county budget 101 and then giving her input as to how we spend, or how much of our budget goes into social safety net related stuff that perhaps the county could help us with, or we can partner better on. So it was a preliminary discussion.
Was that we, our district, or is this with your CSBA?
It's SCC SBA president hat on, but I definitely brought data for LASD because that's what I had, and I could easily get, and other people from the brought data from their local districts. So I had that today. End of the week, I'll actually be going to Mountain View City's state of the city. So I look forward to that.
I have a quick comment today.
Yeah.
At the legislative brunch, which was,
Oh, yeah,
uh,
the big one.
a bunch of legislators there. I was really, really impressed with, Senator Wahab.
Isn't she amazing?
She is totally amazing, totally amazing.
Yeah.
In part because, so we have a budget problem. California state has a budget problem. And she's, chair of the labor, blah, blah, blah committee. And she said at a meeting, I'd like to see a 15% cut in what we spend on labor. There was silence in the room. And then she said later on that she got a call. What did you say? From the governor's office. Anyway, later on, she articulated what her vision was and what the things that she wanted to focus on. And I can't tell you how well they meshed with what I think we should do.
And it was actually, she's in charge, it was actually it's prison, and she wanted the cut there so that it could go to education, so they're not going to prison in the first.
Yeah.
It was,
She commented that we spend $80,000 or $90,000, one of the
It
two.
is 70,000 per prisoner and 17,000 per student. It was wildly disproportionate.
but she is a breath of fresh air, yes.
I also went for the legislative brunch, which was great, as it is every year, so please thank everybody who helped organize it. And I also attended Santa Rita International Day on Friday, which is great, and I feel like even better attended than it was when Santa Rita was like almost twice as many students. So they're really getting all of their families involved, and I actually wanted to send an email and see if I get a picture. The PTA president put up on the side of the multi an enormous map of the world, and then was handing kids little red stickers so that they could put a sticker for where they or their family or their ancestors came from. So I actually would like to see a picture of what it looked like at the end, but it was pretty neat. And a lot of countries that, haven't been on my radar as places that we have. That was great. So I think we are adjourned.